when it comes to offensive missiles of United States and Israel, there's no shortage. So you guys, I think, might have heard a lot of people talking about Americans running out of ammunition, and also the partner countries in the region running out of ammunition. They are specifically talking about interception missiles, right? Which the number that they went through was really high. But a lot of people are thinking about this in a linear way, as if they're going to continue burning through their intercept missiles in the same rate, not taking into account that the launchers of the Islamic Republic have, and the missiles that they have available for shooting, immediately became were taken out to a point that they're now shooting so many less missiles than they begin with. And actually the number of missiles that they're able to shoot at is much lower than people anticipated. So the understanding is that the you're not going to burn through these, you know, interception missiles as fast as you started with, because you only needed that at the beginning of the military operation. And eventually, the Islamic Republic is not going to be able to, as we saw, not going to be able to, they're not going to be needed as much. So that's what the media is talking about, like, oh my god, we're running out of ammunition and running out of ammunition. They're not, right? But when it comes to offensive, ammunition, they're really good. Like, they could go on for as long as they need to, right? So everything that we have seen so far was with the Islamic Republic having some deterring capability with their missiles, and maybe originally with some of their air defense that is not there anymore, right? So while they were able to do that, threatening all these countries around Iran with their missiles, then United States and Israel had to put a lot of their resources and attention in defending, to defend themselves and their allies, right? However, once we finish that phase, then they could, given that they have complete air dominance over Iran's airspace, and given that the Islamic Republic is not going to be able to threaten the countries in the region as much, then more of the focus is going to switch towards just going on attack mode, right? And the timing is also perfect, because we're seeing more signals from the Islamic Republic that they don't want to surrender. So many people who were on the no kill list because they were there for surrendering are going to be removed eventually from the no kill list, and United States is going to allow Israel for them to be taken out. I assume there's still some people on United States no kill list, because they're hoping that somebody at some point will surrender to make all of this cheaper. But they don't seem to. The fact that they chose Mujtaba Khamenei as the next supreme leader is a signal that we're all in. We're not going to surrender, which is actually good for us, because that means that the destruction of the Islamic Republic will be complete, right? So I assume that with the defensive abilities, with the deterrence abilities of the Islamic Republic being lowering, and options for surrendering being removed from the table, then I'm assuming, and given that also that the United States doesn't lack anything when it comes to offensive ammunition, I'm assuming that they might, just like what we see so far, might be nothing compared to what's about to come. But I don't know. Jeffrey might actually have a better answer to this. So Jeffrey, go ahead.
So all good points. I'm going to touch on the what seems to be the main point that you brought up, which is a very good point, which is so just the ability of the Mullah regime's ability to launch direct strikes out of Iran at its surrounding neighbors is indeed being reduced. One is that there is the initial one of the main focus of the initial strike, preemptive strike, went after their transport electro launchers and or missile cities, underground missile cities and launch facilities. And that's because it was very clear that the Mullah regime was getting ready to launch a mass strike against Israel and everybody else in the region via all their ballistic missiles and drones, ballistic missiles that were upgraded thanks to the Chinese Communist Party providing, large mixers to upgrade liquid fuel ballistic missiles into ones that are solid fuel, which means they can be launch ready to go. Plus, the tempo is much higher, right? Instead of it's about 3 to 5 times as high as a liquid-based miss or ballistic missile. So that being said, so the mass and tempo has been reduced thanks to the initial strike that suppressed mullah retaliatory capability and follow-up operations that are hunting down the remaining tells and or long range, like Shahed drone launch facilities. As far as long range strike munitions and or interceptors, yeah, that's a concern to be sure. That said, it would have been we had to strike first to reduce the amount that the Mullah regime could launch in the air that they were getting ready to do. Otherwise, we'd have lost a lot more interceptors to shoot down a much larger initial strike. That said, we have to support the initial strike and or elimination of Mullah regime, because if we did not do that, we would have spent a lot more interceptors in a non-suppressed mullah capability. As far as long range strike munitions, again, legitimate concern. That said, because now we have not only superiority, supremacy over Iran, we now can bring in things like B 52s, B 2s, and other strike aircraft that are not using long range strike munitions and can use things like, brilliant guided regular bombs that are upgraded with like GPS guidance. That means we now can service targets without disproportionately using long range strike munitions, and that's a good thing. The point is, you have two essentially options, right? You could either not have struck the Mullah regime that was getting ready to do mass launches against Israel and our allies in the region, in which case we would have spent a hell of a lot more interceptors, had a lot more damage, and had all kinds of other things that would have happened, like uncontrolled spiraled escalation. Or we could have struck the Mullah regime preemptively, suppress a lot of that launch capability, which then brings down the amount of interceptors you'd have to use in the suppressed launch capability, and follow up those operations to eliminate that capability altogether. Forgive me, I got a little agita. So the net sum positive when you weigh those two is hit the Mullah regime and take out their capability. As far as like long range strike munitions, again, those are legitimate issues. It's better now that we follow up those operations, cleaning out the rest of the Mullah regime in Iran, both for U.S. interests, Israeli interests, and not the least of which is brave Iranian protesters' interests. Now, because of the initial strikes that took out, like did suppression of enemy air defense, so SEAD, right? Their integrated air and missile defense has been obliterated. So now we don't really have to worry about holding those like kinds of non-stealth heavy aircraft being held at risk via, Russian and Chicom facilitated air defense missiles. So now they can just fly overhead and service targets with relatively a lot more cheaper gravity bombs that are upgraded with GPS guidance, so we don't have to worry about long range missions. The other part is, and this is one of the things I've been pushing, to leverage Ukraine's model, which is to use things like very cheaply constructed, albeit very capable, long range strike munitions, which now UAE is indeed doing. Right, they're actually coordinating with Ukrainian defense forces and mass producing things like flamingo missiles. Flamingo missiles have a range
Last
of like
Jeffrey, last point. Last point.
yeah. So flamingo missiles and or defensive drone swarms to shoot down Shaheds with a cost and productive exchange ratio that's in the defender's camp.
Yeah,
That's all.
and I also heard the Ukrainians are getting involved in the fighting against the Shahed drones, which is amazing. They have a lot of experience against on that.
That was the
All right,
defensive drone swarm.
so yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so by the way, BT, I think we should read the list because a lot of people keep raising their hand, not knowing they're on the list.
Yes,
So I
so,
think we,
as
yeah,
I
okay,
told you at the beginning, if your hand is on the list and you look over into the side chat, you will find that list and you will know that you are there because I will say something like, "Hey, gotcha." Next, we have Sabina.
Hi, thank you for, I guess, already answering the question about the oil fires. So I've been sharing video that, and stuff to try to combat the narrative against this rescue operation and to try to get people, on the side of supporting it. I got some responses like, I've been, I guess, arguing with the people that are against the war, but then I got some responses that were like, we need to burn down all the mosques. And I, I guess I wasn't ready to respond to violent vigilantism, and I just, I wonder, like, how do you confront that? How do you steer them somewhere else? Steer their feelings constructively, and also, do we need to worry about the civilians in Iran a little more now that, like, some of the Arab countries are getting involved with, attacking Iran?
All right. So, with regards to the Iranian people burning mosques in inside Iran, so and
But
what our
this is
stance
this
is.
is, this is
Let
in
me
this country. But people were talking about
what
burning mosques. People were talking about burning down the mosques in this country.
Iranians?
No, Americans.
Okay, okay. By who? The Iranians themselves or by Americans?
By Americans, like burning down the mosques in this country.
Oh, burning
Hey,
down the mosque inside America.
yeah.
Okay, well,
Well, I know how to
those are
respond
fucking
to the
retarded.
Iranians burning them down, but I mean that's a different story. But but people were talking about
Well,
burning them down here.
yeah, with those you call the police. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't even know if I wanted to have a discussion with that person. For if somebody is threatening to
Oh,
burn the mosque inside America, I will probably call the cops. on them.
okay. So report them.
Yeah,
In other words, okay.
yeah, yeah. What? Yeah, I do want to mention about mosque burning inside Iran because I think it's valuable for us to have a good understanding of what we need to be supporting and among Iranian people, right? So, by the way, Sabina, I can hear your background if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh, yeah, no worries. All right, so guys, we have the revolution phase and then we have the post-revolution phase, right? So in the revolution phase inside Iran, mosques are used as a base of operations to kill the Iranian people by the IRGC and Basijis, right? Especially the government mosques, right? I mean, when you go to a mosque in Iran, the Basijis have their office. And Basijis are the Basij office is meant for, it's a suppression part of the mask, suppression of the Iranian people. And during the early January protests that we saw, the Islamic Republic killed tens of thousands of people. There were so many videos and observation of the shooting coming, people being shot at from the mosques, and also the troops coming out of the mosques to attack the Iranian people. So burning the mosques is completely justified, obviously, when they are a place for. That being said, obviously this does not include some of the beautiful historical mosques inside Iran that are part of the heritage of and our history, right? So for example, those beautiful mosques in Isfahan or like in Shiraz, we hope that like we could keep those for, for as our history and as our tourist destinations. So there's three types, right? We have mosques that are used for prayer and nothing else, mosques that are more of a tourist destination as part of the history, and then mosques that are part of military operations and suppressing and centers for suppressing the Iranian people. Okay, so this third one is the one that is fair game to burn down, right? And honestly, if you can't tell, you could also, if it's a private mosque or you don't know if this is like, if it's deemed to be a risk, then I think it's fair game as well, right? This is for the revolution phase. For the post-revolution phase in Iran, the strategy with regards to the mosques is, in my opinion, should be every single mosque or any other religious building that has been used, that government money has been used to build it, should be taken away, because people's wealth, the Iranian wealth, has been used to build it. So any like mosques should be allowed, but it should be built with your own private money without any government assistance. Any mosque that has ever been, in my opinion, it's not that just going forward now you build mosques with your own private money. No, looking backwards as well, every single mosque that was built with government money should also be taken away, and maybe they could buy it back and put out.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you might just wait until it's your turn to tell me what you disagree with, because now I'm wondering how could anybody disagree with the fact that mosques built by government, by the people's money, belongs to the people, and religion should be separated from government. So again, after the revolution, we have three types of mosques, right? So obviously all the mosques that are beautiful and are part of the history and part of like the ones especially in Esfahan or in Shiraz, those are the ones that, those are obviously belong should be turned into tourist destination, and the revenue from that needs to go to the people. Mosques that have been built using people's money, the wealth of the Iranian people, need to be taken by the government and maybe put on the market for people to buy. And if you, as a Islamic organization, gets to buy it, then fair game, have it as a mosque and run it. And any mosque that has been built privately completely without no government assistance could continue operating as before, and any Muslims who want to continue building mosques, they should only do it with private money. That's what I think. Yeah, if anybody in America says in support of these military operations against the Islamic Republic, we should go burn down mosques in America. Not only, first of all, call the police, that's a crime. Second of all, if they're successful, that would be the greatest damage to these military operations continuing. That would be one of the best ammunition you could give to the isolationists, especially on the left, against President Trump's military operations. And basically, they are helping the isolationists figure out a way to stop these military operations against the Islamic Republic. So there's that. Did you hear some? You had another question? I forgot the second question.
Yeah, I was asking, now that like the other Arab, like Gulf states, are getting involved in the war, are they going to be as careful as the United States and
Oh yeah.
Israel in not targeting civilians? And should we be worried about civilian casualties now that they're involved?
I don't think they're going to get involved willy nilly without getting, like, I don't even know if they're going to get involved, because they don't have the coordination capability. I know Jordan has, because they have been doing this with the Israelis and Americans for a while, but I don't know if the rest of them have that infrastructure in place, had that coordination availability in place to. I mean, we saw three American fighters just being taken out by the Kuwaiti air defense, right? So imagine with that level of coordination, they want to get involved as well. That looks like messy. So I don't know if they want to get involved or not. But if they do get involved, obviously they're not going to be doing their own thing, and the Americans are going to be like, it's going to be with the leadership and the guidance and the entire framework that United States military has. So they're going to get integrated into that rather than them just going doing their own thing. That's my expectation. So, and obviously all the limitations that United States has as well. I mean, you can see even Israelis who just took out some of the fuel storage of the Islamic Republic. Americans were not, like President Trump didn't seem to be happy with that. So I can imagine other people would be even more monitored even more if they wanted to get involved. Why were you disagreeing with me? Can you tell me exactly? Because I want to respond to the disagreement.
Like, that just seems so mean to say, like, "Oh, you have to give the mosque back," like, once it's, like, been given to the people to be used as a mosque. Like, if as long as anyone who wants to pray in the mosque is allowed to pray in the mosque, like, once it's already built, like, they should be allowed to
It's
keep
been
it as a
stolen.
mosque.
What do you mean? It's stolen money from the Iranian people. It hasn't been given to the people. It has been
How
taken from the
like,
people.
can anyone who wants to pray in the mosque pray in the mosque?
The
Like,
mosques are empty
taxes
because
aren't
there's not much demand. Okay, so let me answer you. Okay, okay. If I if I go steal someone's money and build something that now publicly some people are using it, now if we get justice and the person that has that money was taken away from them wants their money back, you can't be like, well, now people are using it, so we can't give that back to you. Like, what are you talking about? That was my money. You stole my money and you built something with it against my consent. So whatever you built now belongs to me. It was built with my money, right?
Like, I'm sorry, this sounds like a you're are you, like it sounds like one of those things where it's like, "Oh, like, taxes are stealing." Like, no, like, I if it's being used for a public service, you know?
Taxes are not theft in governments, in places where the government is the will of the people and the people have elected political representatives to pass laws and tax them based on what the people have voted for, right? If the government is a reflection of the people, and if the government is enforcing the will of the people, then taxation is not theft, because it's a social contract between the government, between the state and the nation. The state is doing that with the permission of the nation. If you don't have that permission, then that is theft, especially because you're
Okay.
building things that, if it was a hospital, for example, that is something people would be using. If it's a park, that is something that people are using. But if it's a gazillion mosques that are empty because there's not much demand for it, other than the fact that the Islamic Republic uses them as a propaganda, the mosques are empty in Iran because they have built so many mosques that people are not using. Samantha, we don't have a shortage of mosques. Okay, like 99% of these mosques, if they turn into something else, we will still have empty mosques. People are, it's not going to be like, oh my god, I want to pray but there's no mosque. If there's demand, there will be mosque. Trust me, there will be enough mosque for people to be able to go to pray. It's not like, oh my god, where's my mosque? There's a mosque in every goddamn corner. The only utility the mosques have in Iran, and this is, they're famous for this, is their washroom. The only utility you have. People go into mosque to use their washroom way, 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 way more than actually praying inside the mosque.
Agree more, Armin. That's what we always use for. We just went to
Yeah.
mosque for toilet.
Yes, the mosques are basically public toilets. That's what they are. If you want to keep that part, that makes sense, actually.
I mean, if it's like there's literally one in every corner, then okay, I guess I could see, like, cutting it down a little bit.
Okay.
But, like,
If there's if
if
there's demand, Samantha, if there's demand, when you have religious freedom, when there's demand for something, it will be built. It will exist. Okay, but it has to be built by the people who, when you want something, okay, when you want, and when you say public services, religious services should not be part of public services. This is what secularism is, right? So you say public services, that's a school, that's a hospital, okay, that's a
I think
public
that should
washroom.
include, like,
Y-
religious
re-
buildings. I think religious buildings, like,
That's
everyone should have access to
well, that's what you
religious
think,
buildings.
Samantha. Let me finish. Let me finish. The Iranian people's understanding of secularism is that government does not build religious buildings. That's what the Iranian people want, and if that's what they want, that's what they would get.
Also, all this hatred that is pitched in Hamas towards the Jews is still inside of the Quran.